What's up, YouTubers? So I needed a tungsten grinder, or at least something that I could grind tungstens on, because I've been using like an angle grinder or any number of tools I shouldn't be to sharpen them. And I was just going to get a little portable one because I don't do that much work that needs a full-size grinder. And well, long story short, buying this thing from Harbor Freight was cheaper than a handheld tungsten grinder. And I said to myself, well, this is probably more useful than a little battery-powered tungsten grinder, so that's what I bought. I paid like 40 bucks. They had a 15-20% off coupon, so not too bad of a deal. Let's open this up, see what kind of cheap crap you're getting, and put it to the test. So I got my portable house fire warming things up in here. It was pretty cold. It's like 28 degrees. I don't have a heated shop, so that's my heat source for this winter. I got my welding gloves preheating on there, so if you see them start smoking or start on fire, give me a shout. Now we can maybe toss those out. So got it out of the box. Has a little light. Thought it was battery powered at first, but it must run off the 120 volt. I'm kind of happy to see that this sucker wasn't in pieces. I 100% expected to have to put together all of this here. So in the past, I've owned maybe one or two grinders from Harbor Freight, and they were 10 years old. Like the older Harbor Freight where they didn't care about what they sold you, and you'd have to put everything together, which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with that, but I don't know, it's kind of a surprise that this came assembled per se. Other than we got some, like the stands, or not stands, but the rests. So I'm going to throw those together now. Alright, forgot to turn the camera on, but I adjusted this belt. The tracking was too far over to the right, so it didn't even want to start, and it would just dim the lights. But I'm going to turn it on now, and I want to show you a few things that I observed. So it's actually pretty well balanced for what it is. I mean, this thing isn't moving all over the table like every other Harbor Freight grinder I've ever had, so that's kind of impressive. This is a little bit loud, which, I mean, it's to be expected because it's got this paper belt and it rubs on certain places on here, which it's just a given with this style. So not too bad, it's not that loud. But I wanted to show you this wheel here, and I'm just going to bump it, and I'm going to put this straight edge along the wheel so that you guys can see how out of square or out of parallel it is. Let me bump test this and show you. Like, look at that straight edge. The face of it seems to be it's somewhat parallel to this, but my God, is that thing, it might as well be a pancake at IHOP. Yeah, pretty crazy. Here, I'll do it by hand, even though I'm sure you saw that. And that's what I find typically with cheap grinding wheels and grinders is, you know, is it serviceable? Yeah, I'm going to have to grind this face down to where it's at least somewhat parallel to this. Now, the weeble wobbles in it, I won't be able to do much about that. And at least it runs balanced. And that was a big concern of mine, is that this thing would be shaking all over like every other cheap Harbor Freight grinder I've had. So it at least doesn't do that. So I'll grind the face down with a tool and go from there. But yeah, So let's go to conclusion. I'm happy to report it grinds a tungsten far better than an angle grinder, so that's great. At least does that. What do I think of this? Well, I haven't used it that much. It seems to be decently powerful for what I'm going to be using it for. I have read that these belts are difficult to get. I know that Harbor Freight, by me, didn't have this belt in stock. They're going to get them, and they only carry them in one grit. I have a feeling this is some oddball belt size that you can't get a lot of grits in, so that's kind of a detriment. But I'm going to look on Amazon and buy a finer belt so I can more or less polish tungsten and stuff. And I'm not joking when I say this is primarily going to be used for tungsten grinding, and luckily I don't dip it that much, so this won't be used that much. And I'll prepare some coupon edges, and I'll be doing different stuff, sharpening drill bits for sure with this. So it's not just, you know, tungsten grinding, but so far, I guess for the 140 bucks, I'm pretty happy. I'm a bigger fan of buying used equipment on Marketplace, so I've been looking for a couple months for like a Jet or some other, you know, Baldor, some decent brand of these. And I'll tell you what, either they're three-phase, which I don't have three-phase where I'm at. I don't even have power for that matter other than 120. So that was kind of out of the question. And I did find a couple and they want $800. It's like, well, I can buy the brand new Jet equivalent of this for like $7. So why would I pay you more for a used model? I don't know. People are crazy. Prices are crazy. So yeah, with that said, is this worth, you know, 140 bucks? So far, I would say yes. Seems to have a decent amount of power. And, you know, I like the fit and finish of it's pretty decent. I mean, for what I was expecting. I mean, Harbor Freight is definitely a lot better now than they were, say, 5-6 years ago even. One thing I'll mention too, this light, pretty much useless. I'm not a big fan of a light on a grinder. I mean, why would you be grinding in the dark? I mean, you can see in this little crappy workshop I got, there's plenty of light. Like, I don't see the benefit of that. So, I don't know. Interesting. That said, thanks for sticking around. Till next time.